What's up, guys? Welcome to a new and long overdue episode of PodVulture.
It's been about 2 years.
Just about,
overdue.
I imagine it's for about 2 years. I can't remember what we last spoke about. But coronavirus has got us all stuck inside, so me and Coleman here thought we'd come back and hit you all in the face with some audio goodness or video goodness, however you're digesting this.
Bit of both, to be honest. As I say, I feel like coronavirus has kind of forced our hand. We were ruminating on how, if and when we were ever going to make a comeback of some description, but now is as good as time as any. That made no sense.
That makes no sense. Like, this whole podcast will probably make no sense. I totally introed you and didn't intro myself. But yeah, if you did forget who I am, my name is Az.
And my name is Cole, and I guess we're PopVulture still.
We're PopVulture doing PodVulture in 2020. Shit's changed.
It's changed a lot.
Life is crazy, but here we are. So
exactly, the world is, gone crazy. We're all aboard. We're all in the same boat, basically.
Oh yeah.
The SS apocalypse, if you want to call it that.
I like that. I don't like it, but I like the naming.
I mean, it's dark, so let's not.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole at all.
Exactly, but we're still consuming entertainment as we have been for the last 29 years of our existence. So.
Yeah, not quite 30 yet. I was thinking you were going to say 30 yen, and I was like,
oh no,
it's too close. I don't like it.
Dark road. But how are you holding up?
I'm okay. As most of us probably are. I'm consuming a lot of entertainment right now.
The only thing to do, right?
Exactly. So what like we both thought is that maybe people would like to listen to what we've been doing or watching, what we might recommend, not recommend.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm going to start with the fact that I fell down a very deep, dark rabbit hole on Netflix this week, and I've watched about 8 episodes of the Big Show.
See, we were talking about this for a really long time because you showed me the trailer, and I was actually convinced it looked pretty good. To be honest, I'm not a huge sitcom person.
No,
I mean, the only sitcoms I've ever really consumed are Friends and The Big Bang Theory. So stark contrasts of different levels of actual entertainment. And as a non-wrestling fan, or a previously non-wrestling fan, The Big Show was just a name. I thought it looked alright from the trailer, but...
Yeah, I watched episode 1, and I was like, this is the most abysmal thing. Obviously, being a massive wrestling fan, I was like, of course I've got to check it out, just because even if it's dreadful, I need to watch at least an episode.
Is it dreadful?
Oh, it was so bad. It's all so bad. It's so bad, but I'm hooked in now, and I'm like, I need to know.
I was going to say, 8 episodes of anything is you're past a certain point at that juncture.
There is an episode where Mick Foley, Rikishi, and Mark Henry make a cameo. And Mark Henry, this show should have been the Mark Henry show, legit. Mark Henry is fucking gold in the episode he's in.
What?
I don't know, he's so funny. He's just naturally quite funny on screen. I was like, he's really good.
Coleman fact, I have met Mick Foley.
Yeah, I know.
I think I've told you that.
You told me this when we first started hanging out, and I was very confused because you were like, I hate wrestling.
I've never hated wrestling, but I didn't know who he was when I met him.
You quoted me in a tweet where you were like, if you're tweeting about WrestleMania, then stop.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
Because
men in pants is not a serious sport.
It is a very serious sport.
And I had to apologise. But I met Mick Foley backstage at Robot Wars, which sounds like a really weird dream.
Why the hell was he at Robo Wars?
Robot Wars. I don't know, but it was just a very surreal experience as a 13-year-old to go to Robot Wars
as well.
He's a very large man. He was very sweaty. That's primarily what I remember him as, just being a very large, sweaty man.
Yes.
But no, 13 years old, going to watch Robot Wars, going to go backstage. I was picked out of the crowd for doing a little whoop.
Did you meet Craig Charles?
Craig Charles, yeah, met Craig Charles in his big leather frilly jacket.
Did he
and I got to drive Shunt. Which was fun as well. So I got to drive one of the house robots. He did not. He smelled of leather.
Do you know what? I imagined that. I was like, he smelled like... I was thinking in my head that maybe he smelled of cigarettes and leather.
Yeah, which is pretty much the way I remember my dad smelling. So maybe Craig Charles is my dad. This is a very strange way to start our first podcast back.
Well,
let's go back onto the Big Show. It's
been weirder.
It has been much weirder, to be fair. We've just cut a lot of that shit out.
I've fallen down a rabbit hole, and now I'm like, I'm going to finish this series. But there is I'll tell you what, though. And the the star of the show is actually one of his daughters in it. Like one of the little girl who plays his daughter, JJ. She's really fucking good.
So just for reference, this isn't his actual family.
No, this is not his actual family, and it's
family.
really funny because his TV wife calls him Show.
Amazing. Do you reckon his actual wife calls him Show?
I doubt it. His name's fucking Paul. I can't imagine he goes home and he's like, "Oh, Show, what you doing?" And I imagine she says Paul. Like,
why are all wrestlers why they've all got real normal names except for Triple H?
What do you mean? They've all got
Hunter
Hurst Helmsley.
Yeah, that's not a real name.
It's because he was like an aristocratic like douchebag, and then he was like, "I'm the game." So yeah. Shit changes.
For anybody that's listening to this that doesn't watch wrestling, they're probably just like...
Everybody knows who Triple H is. Just say.
I mean, yeah, to an extent, I guess.
Everybody knows who fucking
Triple H, The Undertaker, Kane, The Rock.
I was going to say, literally, the ones you're naming are the ones that everybody knows. Steve Austin. Fucking, yeah, exactly. Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows who they are. So yeah, very, very strange show. I don't know what... I need to stop it. I need to quit.
You need to back it in, because you're saying this show is terrible, and yet you're still watching it continually.
I was sitting on my sofa last night drinking rum and watching the Big Show show. So...
I mean, if you're ever going to need a show to watch whilst drinking heavily, it's the Big Show show.
No, yeah, literally
by the sounds of things. What else have you been doing?
What have you been doing?
That's a very good question. That is a very good question. Not a huge amount, to be honest. I feel like the large portion of my time at the moment has been taken up by Animal Crossing, and I feel like that's the same for a lot of people. I think since it came out, and it came out at that perfect time as well, where we were just starting to go into lockdown.
Yeah,
Animal Crossing got released, and it's honestly the best mood booster ever. It's so chilled out. I can just sit, dump as much time as I want into it. I can jump in for 5 minutes. I can jump in for 6 hours, and just dig up some fossils, take it to Blathers, and
obviously I got it. I've played it nowhere near to the extent that you have.
You are so far behind. You you haven't visited my island yet. I've showed it off.
Far behind. Like, it's a game with no real progression. You know, it's
very true. But no, you say that, but there is a lot of progression, because if you like me.
It, right?
No, you can and you can't. So you can get to a certain point where you don't really have a whole lot else to do or to unlock, and you get all the DIY recipes and stuff. So for anybody that hasn't played an Animal Crossing game, and this was me up until Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, Animal Crossing is basically The Sims, but better. It's The Sims meets Farmville.
Oh, okay. I don't know if we can necessarily say it's better, because like the building and stuff on Animal Crossing is real fucking janky. Like,
it's very rudimentary, yeah.
So janky.
Limits to what you can do, but in terms of like, it feels easier. It feels more chill. There's
definitely that.
Very, very low stakes.
Yeah.
You get dropped on an island and it's full of animal people. I
love the way they talk.
Creatures. Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. That's
my impression. So.
Also sounds like you're having some kind of attack, but
yes, that's what completely. They sound like.
It is. But I've been really, really enjoying my time playing Animal Crossing, and spending far too long just sitting and trying to pay off my debts to Tom Nook.
Have you not paid him off yet?
Once you pay him off, he gives you another loan.
Oh, what?
Like, for even bigger. Yeah. Oh, dude, don't even get me started. You pay him off the first time for your house, and then you've got to pay him for loads. Oh, he's a crook. He will take you for every penny that you're worth. I'm currently trying to pay off a bridge that cost me 220 grand to build.
For a fucking bridge?
For a bridge.
Those bridges. Oh, yeah, I've seen the gaps between those islands. They're not very big gaps. He's charging a lot of money for a very small bridge. Extortionate.
That raccoon is a dick.
And you have to make the materials. You have to go cut fucking trees. And I'm paying you 220 grand to make a bridge out of the materials that I cut down.
It's all framed that you've got to provide donations to the bridge building fund, and yet you are the only person on the island. Currently, I have like 4 residents on my island, 4 other residents. They're not putting in. I'm the only one putting into that bridge.
It's really just a simulation for kids to show you what the real world's like, is that people will just fuck you over at every turn.
Oh, yeah. Tom Nook is everyone, and they're all arseholes. It's just me drinking a beer casually whilst I'm podcasting. It's been a while. I feel like we're warranted alcohol now.
I drink more randomly now than I ever have.
And earlier in the day. It's like 4:30 on a Sunday.
I was going to say, I finished work at 5 the other day because I'm still working from home, as are you. And yeah, I finished, and I pretty much just poured myself a rum and coke as soon as work finished. So
I mean, necessary.
I nearly drank
necessary.
a whole bottle of Kraken in the day on my own the other day. I've
a whole bottle of rum.
Yes.
I worry about you. I'm glad that we touch base regularly because I think you might have a problem.
I might go insane. Exactly.
Yes.
But to fight the insanity. No, sorry, you want to say something. You finish. You go ahead.
I was going to say there is no better game to play whilst you're getting half cut than Animal Crossing, to be honest, because it just makes it so much more entertaining.
Especially if you've got a bit of a DIY guru in yourself, you know. But,
yeah, you can like paint your walls neon green.
You can paint your walls.
Fucking go for it.
Paint your fucking walls neon green. Why not? So I haven't been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. I've been playing a lot of the big boy games while you're playing the little
big
boy
games. Come on now.
So yeah, I played Doom Eternal. Obviously that launched within the whole time that we've been stuck. Well, actually, was it just before we went into?
It was slightly before we went into lockdown, it wasn't.
No,
it wasn't.
It was during lockdown.
Same day as Animal Crossing.
Yeah. So that was actually a really good distraction. And I'd actually recommend anyone who plays shooters Doom Eternal if you need.
You put a lot of time into that game very quickly.
This is the thing, and it's funny because I read an article on it just after I completed it, and basically this guy was just doing a talk on difficulty in games, and he was talking about how in this period and like to deal with like spending time like just like trying to forget what the fuck's going on outside is playing a difficult, like he was playing through Doom Eternal, which is quite difficult. Obviously it's got difficulty settings and stuff, but it's a pretty difficult game. And he was saying, like, with that, it was just like it was a good escape. And, like, reading what he was saying, I was like, legit, that's exactly how I felt playing it. Because I could sit and play that. Like, I'd do, say, 2 or 3 missions in a sitting. I think it was like 13 missions. It was probably more like 2 missions in a sitting. And I'd finish those 2 missions. I'd feel exhausted. Because it was, like, so... Like, some of the fights are so intense. And, like, just your mind is, like, so focused on, like, some of these fights. You just don't have a chance to think about anything else.
You forget about the outside world entirely and just like shut everything else out.
Those 2 hours or so that you're doing those couple of levels, you just completely just shut off, you're concentrating, and and like he was talking about other games like Sekiro and Dark Souls and stuff, all that sort of stuff, just being like probably a good means to like really concentrate. And if you need that distraction and that mental break from everything, like they're really decent games to play. And like I say, Doom Eternal was that for me. And I'm sad I finished it.
Exactly, because now you're having to dip back into other things. But I mean, I think that's what the world needs right now, is to really throw themselves into video gaming. You've got the WHO, the World Health Organization, who a couple of months back turned around and classified video gaming as like, you know, detrimental to your health, and that gaming addiction was a disease. And now they're turning around whilst we've got everything else going on and saying, actually, no, you should be playing video games to keep your brain alive and occupied during this chaos. So they've done a complete 180 on that.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm finding as well, if I'm not actively like playing something at the minute, I don't have a lot on. Like I'll just squander time just scrolling through the internet or whatever. Exactly,
and I feel like it's the same for a lot of people. Like in terms of how people are spending their time, there are like sects of people, and there are people who are spending their time doing productive things. Like a lot of people I know, and like my girlfriend, and the people that she associates with, and there's people that don't do that and who aren't used to it, and who will just sit and stare at a white wall for 8 hours a day. And so I think entertainment now has never been more important. It's never been more important to be able to consume stuff, and how we consume stuff has changed. Like with Netflix has always been one of those things where it's been like nice to have, and it's great to have that as a distraction. You can put it on. People have so much more time to consume stuff during the day now. Even whilst people are working from home, it's good to have a bit of time to take a break, watch something on lunch, and so they must be raking it in.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, well, Disney Plus obviously came out. Obviously, we can't not talk about this on this podcast.
Do you reckon they knew? Because they dropped in the UK at the perfect
If you want a conspiracy theory, that is the perfect conspiracy theory, because literally they dropped like the Monday or the Tuesday, wasn't it? The Tuesday of the lockdown. they fucking released, and it was like.
And I remember when they released in the US,
timing.
everybody was like, "When are you releasing in the EU? When are you releasing in the UK? Like, we need this, and they were holding off. They didn't give us a release date. They were just like, "It's coming later. It's coming later." That's a conspiracy theory. That's them holding fire and turning around and going.
Disney are secretly Big Pharma and caused all of this.
Saying that, they're shooting themselves in the foot a little bit because their parks are currently closed. If coronavirus wasn't happening right now, I would be in Disney tomorrow. Disney and Hollywood, and that is upsetting.
Very upsetting. If this wasn't happening, I would be in Canada in 3 weeks' time as well, and that is not happening. So
both had big trips cancelled.
Suffering big trip cancellations. So.
Very distressing. But I mean, if we're going to talk about Netflix, we've got to talk about Tiger King, at least briefly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just touch on all the stuff that's been going on since lockdown, really. Yeah, I mean that. I think it was Perry, actually, from Perry. Not that everybody's gonna know who the fuck Perry is, but
friend of the show, Perry.
Friend of the show, Perry. Shout out to Perry, who probably won't listen to this.
Nobody will.
No, probably not. It'll just be us listening to it back. We'll be like, oh, that's good. Yeah, no, he was like, you need to watch fucking Tiger King on Netflix right now, and I was like, I genuinely thought it was gonna be some like drama or something, like Tiger King, like Lion King. I was like, what is this? Hadn't even seen a trailer for it. I looked it up and I was like, I watched the trailer and I was like, how is this real? I was like, what the fuck? He was like, dude, I've just watched 4 episodes and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder.
And it does. I remember I got the push notification on Netflix about it, and I read the description. That sounds like something that I need to add to my list. And I did, but I didn't get around to watching it for a little while until people started coming through and being like, you need to really watch this. The first episode I watched, I remember watching it and recognizing Joe Exotic because he was in a Louis Theroux documentary a couple of years ago.
Oh, was he?
Quite a few, yeah.
Oh,
so Louis Theroux had a show exclusively with Joe Exotic where he goes around the zoo and all this kind of stuff.
I had no idea.
Honestly, go back and watch it now because it puts everything into perspective because it was just before his complete meltdown.
Jesus.
But like, I remember that, and then I was like, oh shit, like, oh, it's just going to be about this crazy guy who's got a zoo. It is so much more than that. It does get insane,
dude. Like the fact that all these big tiger people exist, and that's like some weird.
People are weird,
dude. Like, why is it some strange subculture? Like, what the fuck? Like,
especially as it's illegal to like sell them in the US. Nobody gives a shit.
It's like, what's the stat? It's like there's 10,000 cats in these zoos or something, and there's like 4,000 in the wild. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they don't give a shit. They're just like, no, these are our friends. These are our children.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Keeping them in homes and all sorts. But I mean, by now I think the ship has sailed. I think enough people have watched it that we can get into spoilers if we need to.
Oh yeah, I was
Carol Baskin killed her husband.
I was gonna say that bitch definitely killed her husband.
Carol Baskin.
She 100% killed her husband. I don't care what anyone says. Have you seen that crazy theory that her first husband is actually Jeff Lowe?
I did. I saw that on Facebook and I was very confused. And to be honest, nah.
I'm sure it's not true, but I wish it was.
I mean, I wish it was too. And there's no way it couldn't be slightly feasible in the same way as the whole... But... Yeah, I mean, it's not... No, absolutely not. But the one thing that got me was the dude accidentally shooting himself in the head.
That's literally what I was about to say before you said that bitch. Yeah, like he, how does I'm so confused as well. How did he turn 2 straight men gay? Or not? He didn't even turn them gay. He just manipulated them into thinking they were gay.
He got his tiger claws into them and was like, "You're my husbands now."
That they had some of the most ropey photography.
Oh yeah.
For any sexual orientation, those photos were dreadful.
It's surreal. Just really surreal. I mean,
really not pissed me off. Pissed me off is not what I want to say. What really tripped me out was how I forgot. Was it Jonathan? One of his husbands? Was it John or John? What was the bald one? The one who's still alive. I forgot his name. But why was he topless every time they were interviewing him?
What tripped me out was the guy that he hired to kill Carol Baskin was like, "Do you know where I'm going to have my interview from? In my bath." Why was he sat in his bath?
I don't know. Who was that?
He was like,
really
"Oh yeah, no,
weird.
I'll talk about the fact that Joe Exotic hired me to kill Carol Baskin, but I'll do it when I'm sat in my bath."
Wait, what about the guy with the red hair and like was on the jet ski? The big guy.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god! I was watching
Wild.
this, and like I literally, as soon as he came on his jet ski, I was like, he is now my hero.
And the fact that he feels like he's owed everything just because he was like, oh yeah, I was a police informant.
Yeah.
There's so many characters.
That dude knows some shady shit. Like,
oh, he does. 100%. There's some weird shit. And like when they're rifling through Joe Exotic's cupboards and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, no, this is an invoice and this is an invoice, and they're like, oh, this one's from Doc Antle, and then the guy snatches it out of his hand, and he's like, can't show you that one. Clearly, there's some ropey shit going on. The phone's ringing. People during coronavirus want to have a talk. Check in with your friends.
It's gonna have to go voicemail. Got to deal with it.
You just have to leave it ringing. That's fine. We can talk over it. I mean, in terms of things I've been watching, Tiger King was a binge, so I finished that pretty quickly. Do you know what though? In terms of like actually getting on quality content, it's really hard. So I've been going back and watching all of Sonic X on Amazon Prime. Yeah, Sonic X, and boy, howdy that show. The animation.
Boy, howdy.
Is beautiful. Like I remember it being.
Wasn't that on Fox Kids or something?
Yeah, it was on Fox Kids. It was one of those around that time because I remember. What was the Sonic animated TV series where he was in a band? Sonic Underground. I remember that being amazing at the time. Do you not remember that?
No.
He had his cousins and they were hedgehogs, but they were all in a band together. They had they all played guitar and stuff.
No, I don't remember that.
I remember that was my childhood, but I never really watched Sonic X because it was in that transitionary phase of like I was slightly too old for it. But I've been going back through and watching it, and like the animation is amazing because it's like Pokemon style animation,
right?
That kind of quality. It's very weird.
I can imagine it is
very weird. The first episode,
strange.
He gets accidentally Chaos Control teleported to the real world, and he makes enemies with a team of Formula One drivers who work for the police.
What?
And they're called like the Speed Team. No, they're called the S Team.
Speed Team, yeah.
The Speed Team, but they all drive big Formula One cars. So they clearly don't have anything to do except when this blue hedgehog comes into town and starts like driving.
To chase him.
The dialogue is awful, like so bad.
Why are you watching this? This is as bad as the Big Show.
I mean, you know me, I'm a big Sonic the Hedgehog fan, and again, like I'm stuck at home. I haven't got anything else to do.
Yeah.
So I'm watching Sonic X on Prime, and it is not good. I wish I could recommend it, but I can't. So don't.
Well, I won't be watching that then.
No.
To be fair, I've consumed more video games than I think I have media over the last couple of weeks. Obviously,
that makes sense.
The only thing out of stuff that I like is that's still on is obviously the wrestling is still on, which hopefully that should stop. I mean, we have
in some capacity.
It's very odd. It's a very odd time to be a wrestling
jarring.
Fan. Obviously, we had WrestleMania last weekend. Did you watch any of that? I know because you are semi into it these days.
Yeah, I mean,
semi
into it. I didn't watch any of it. The thing for me was I watched the John Cena Fiend like hype.
Oh, the package,
like the promo, and I was like, I am so not into this because it's just awkward. It's really awkward without crowd noise and all this kind of stuff. It obviously suspension of disbelief. That's fine, but like, it's all acting. It's all wrestling is all acting. But at least with the crowd noise, it gives it some kind of element of like, this is.
If anything, it's been more evident of how important an audience is to pro wrestling because, like, without it there, it's just people doing things, and it
shows all the sellotape and the wobbly cardboard and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
And the dialogue is just wrestling dialogue has always been really hammy, but it's so bad.
Did you see the Boneyard match though?
Was this the Undertaker?
Yeah.
No.
You need to watch that because that is amazing. It's like a fucking B movie, and it is fucking brilliant. Like
I feel like that's what they probably should have lent into with a lot of the stuff. With most of the stuff.
Well, it was funny because I watched both nights, and the second night had a weird match with Cena and Wyatt, which was weird. The first night had the Undertaker and AJ Styles in this weird cinematic match. The AJ and Undertaker match was way better, but like all the other matches, like were just in silence, and it was just hard to watch. And it was the first WrestleMania where the main event finished 1, 2, 3. I turned it off.
I was going to say you turned it off.
I didn't even watch the celebration because it was just sad. It was sad, and I was just like, oh, this is rubbish.
I'm upset for you. I'm genuinely upset.
It was a very sad time.
Dear. But is that can't be the only thing that you're like watching on the video?
Well,
in terms of
I've watched the Big Show.
That is life now. That is, you are the Big Show.
Actually, no, I'll tell a lie. Something I have got into, which I keep telling you to watch, and you keep telling me to fuck off.
Dave.
Is a show called Dave. So if anyone who's listening has ever heard of Little Dicky, who is a comedic rapper, which I'm sure a lot of people have potentially heard of, or at least heard Freaky Friday. Everybody's heard Freaky Friday, haven't they?
I hadn't, to be honest. I literally haven't heard who he is, or I'm so out of the loop when it comes.
I thought you said you knew who Little Dicky was. You said, I don't like Little Dicky.
I assumed I knew who he was. Turns out I don't know who he was.
Oh.
I assumed I got him confused with Lil Xan, who is not good.
I don't know who that is.
There's so many little people.
Oh no, they're all little. But Dave, the show, is fucking brilliant. It's obviously it's about him, but like it's just hilarious, and it's got a lot of heart to it as well. Like this little friendship group forms in the show and stuff, and it's got a lot of heart to it, and I like it. It's nice.
Okay.
It's really fucking funny as well. If you're into dick and fart jokes, there's loads of them. So,
I mean, you as a 29-year-old man,
I love it.
You are very much akin to a dick and a fart joke. You still consume South Park on a regular basis. I see South
Park, and I love Jay and Silent Bob. So
yeah, that's fair. That's right. But I mean, it's one of those things I might get round to. You keep bullying me into trying to watch it, but the amount of times that I will give you a recommendation on something and you just won't fucking listen to me.
I did watch 2 episodes of Westworld actually at the start of all this shit, and I just haven't
Season 1 of Westworld. So you've gone back and you've started watching season 1. So season 3 of Westworld has started, and I've got to say, like next level television, absolute next level television. Westworld for me has always been one of those things that it will come on and I'll watch it and I'll go, holy shit, this is amazing. Complete brain fuck. Season 1 and season 2. Season 3 almost feels like a completely different show. And I think if you've seen the trailer for the season,
I saw the trailer, and obviously that's given me basically spoilers of where the show
kind of goes. Yeah, exactly. But even now, there are so many unanswered questions in this new setup that they've provided. It's unreal. If I can urge anybody to sit and binge through the first 2 seasons, because the first series is really good. The second one is it's all right. The ending's slightly better. I would argue, from my perspective, I enjoyed it more than Game of Thrones. I have enjoyed it more than Game of Thrones up until this point. But you need to stick with it. It's one of those things you can't just watch a couple of episodes of, because you'll be like, I'm really confused and I don't understand this, and switch it off. It will always start answering questions that you have probably around episode 9 or 10. So you need to give it a lot of time and a lot of speculation and thought and this kind of thing. Honestly, season 3 is so good.
Well, maybe before we get, because it's only 10 episodes a season, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. I think so.
I'm pretty sure it's 10 a season. Fairly sure.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. But anyway, yeah, if we're going to potentially do this again, which hopefully this is going to spur
Hopefully we will. Hopefully this can become an ongoing thing.
We've got nowhere to go, so there's no reason this can't be a once weekly thing. There is
life now.
Literally no reason that it can't be. And it gives us time to just shoot the shit together, doesn't it?
Oh, cute.
Maybe I'll try and get through season 1 this week. I'll get through season 1, and then I can come back next week and be like, I did it.
Just give it some time. Just give it some...
I did, but that's the thing. I didn't not enjoy... I'm just really bad at watching TV now.
And it's hard because a lot of TV you can consume in half-hourly blocks, or Tiger King's 40 minutes. Yeah. This is literally an hour plus sometimes of the time, and it can sometimes feel a little bit slow. Just where it's not answering questions, but it's posing more questions than it's answering at the same time.
Yeah, of course,
yeah. So it does require a lot of energy to watch, and you need to sit and pay attention. You can't just sit on your phone.
I noticed. That's why when I watched the first 2, I was pausing, because I was like, I can't not pay attention.
You can't sit on your phone.
Because it's not a show you could sit and passively watch.
Which I love, because there's so much TV that you can passively watch. Tiger King's one of those things you can have.
You can kind of just zone in and out and still get the overall gist of it
and that kind of thing. And I'm sure the Big Show is very much that as well.
I could literally sit and not watch any of the 30 minutes of that and tell you what happened, the main plot points.
Exactly.
Because it's just
I mean,
atypical
another
television.
thing that I did watch that's kind of you kind of do need to pay attention to as well is Picard. I know you haven't watched any of it yet.
I've never watched the old show, so for me it's like.
Have you honestly not ever watched Star Trek Generation?
Dude, when I was a kid, right, I was very Star Wars, not Star Trek, and
okay.
I just never watched Star Trek at all. The only Star Trek I ever got into was the movie series, and that's because they made Star Trek become Star Wars. So
pretty much, yeah. To be honest with you, whereas for me it was pretty much the opposite. So this is gonna sound real like emotional stuff. I had a very close relationship with my grandmother.
Oh.
She was a huge Next Generation fan. She had like models and stuff of all the Borg ships and like the USS Enterprise. Yeah, she had models. She had a signed photograph of Patrick Stewart in his Picard's uniform in her dining room.
Yeah.
And for ages, I was convinced that this guy was my granddad.
Was you actually?
No, genuinely. I grew up and I thought this guy was my granddad.
That's funny.
I know, it's hilarious. But we used to sit and we used to watch episodes of Star Trek Next Generation together, and so for me it was part of my cultural DNA. Star Wars was very much that as well, like, but it was in more of an independent thing. So I would watch it because I thought it was cool. Whereas Star Trek for me was more of a this is me and my nan's thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Next Generation was the one. Like, none of the original series, didn't go on to watch any of Voyager or Deep Space Nine or anything like that. And so when they announced that they were launching Picard, I'd watched all of Discovery, and I love Discovery. It's amazing. I think that CBS have done a great job with it. I think it's such a good jumping on point for Star Trek fans as well. If you don't get... did you watch any of Discovery? I feel like I tried to force you to.
Again, you did keep telling me to watch it. I never did.
Yeah, I did. But again... It's on Netflix. Go and watch Discovery. Picard, he's a character that I grew up with, and so there's that element of nostalgia, but also the way that it bleeds not only into modern sci-fi, but also other series. So you've got Seven of Nine is in it from Deep Space Nine. Maybe Voyager? I don't know. Sorry.
Was she the captain lady who was in one season? Was she?
No, she wasn't. That was Janeway.
She's the blonde lady, isn't she? Who was in the film?
She's the blonde. She was former Borg. Yeah, she used to be a Borg.
I remember.
And it ties very heavily into the Picard storyline. But honestly, it's kind of like a detective series in its own right. It's like Patrick Stewart shows his age. He is an old man, but he still plays Picard very, very well, and it pays homage to the Next Generation in such a beautiful way because it brings back old characters. It does a really good job of kind of linking in with the overarching lore. There are so many references to other random things. It's basically the new Star Wars films, but for Star Trek. So little references and things here or there, and little jumping points, and just real nice. A really, really good show. Really nice. And again, like it's just very nice, and not a huge amount of commitment either. Like, you can jump in and just kind of consume it fairly easily. I really, really enjoyed it, and I honestly can urge anybody to watch it.
Fair enough.
It's very good sci-fi. It's very good sci-fi.
Maybe I'll dabble at some point. I'll say maybe because it probably won't happen because I'm terrible.
You are terrible. We know this.
Definitely a terrible person.
You've been playing Final Fantasy VII though, right?
You beat me to it.
Sorry, just jump straight in there.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. That's where I was going to spin off to next because I haven't been watching Picard.
Because you're a piece of shit.
So when you were younger or whenever, did you do Final Fantasy VII? Did you play the original?
I did, but I never completed it. For me, Final Fantasy VIII was really the first Final Fantasy that I was like.
See, 10 was the first that I got into. So when I got into 10, obviously 7 was already known as like the big one and like was the best one. Blah blah blah.
Giant crystal case.
Yes.
Yeah.
I own a copy of Final Fantasy 7 and stuff like that. Like, I own it.
The original one or the platinum version?
No, black label, not fucking grey label. Yeah, no, fuck that. Even though I never ever played through it, I still own it because as a collector, it's
a staple. It is
exactly. It needs to be in your collection. But that doesn't mean that I never wanted to. The problem is when I got into it, it was very aged. And like I started playing it on my Switch. It's been loads of times over the last probably like 15 years or something like that where I've like tried to play Final Fantasy 7 and just couldn't get into it just because it's hard. hard when
Yeah.
it's old as well. The furthest I got was on my Switch, and I was just even then I just put it down and never picked it back up again. But like I liked the PSP game Crisis Core and stuff like that, and Advent Children and shit like that. So I was into the story of it, and I've always wanted to get into it, but never could. So now we've got a remake, and it's fucking great, and it is as good as I hoped it to be. So as someone coming in, even though I never played the original, it's really good. Like the characters are great, the story so far is great. It's so cheesy, it's so JRPG, it hurts.
Yes, of course, because it's a Final Fantasy game, and it is the Final Fantasy game for a lot of people. So it kind of that you can allow that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like Cloud Strife is a fucking stud. Like all the females in it are like, can we go on a date? Can we? You know, they're all just really flirtatious with him and stuff, and he's just like, ugh. Like
he was always a silent character though. They gave him a for the remake.
Oh yeah, everything's voice acted. I mean, the original game obviously didn't have any voice acting.
No, it was all like thing, but like I mean, Cloud even in the games, didn't have any dialogue whatsoever.
He does, doesn't he?
I don't think he does.
No, you got me second guess myself now. So I'm
pretty sure he doesn't have
listening to this and be pissed off. Probably Scouts or Jord if they potentially listen to this and be like,
oh, maybe
you two
people who are Final Fantasy people are going to come break my kneecaps.
Yeah, so I've not played it properly. I don't remember. But yeah, he's properly voice acted and stuff now. But like, yeah, it's just so funny because like they'll say stuff like that to him, and it's like, you know how every JRPG character always makes random grunts. He's always like, he's so brooding. It's unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. He was always the ultimate brooder. And again, like to an extent, I mean, if they ever do Final Fantasy VIII, which I'm really hoping they do, but they probably won't because of the time commitment that's going to go into 7.
Well, it's interesting because it's obviously not the whole game of 7 either.
No, it's just the Midgar section, right?
Yeah, it's just one section of the game. Which obviously they've turned into one whole game. So
I remember people originally were really, really pissed off at that, but I think from your perspective, does it do enough to really flesh out?
Well, so far, I mean, obviously, like I say, I never actually completed the original game, so I can't judge too much. But
did you play the Midgar section?
Yeah,
because I feel like even with me, who only really played it very, very briefly on the PlayStation 1 and very, very briefly on the Switch when they released the port for that, I've only ever gotten to a point where I kind of think I've got through the Midgar section.
Oh, it's it fleshes it out and stuff like that, like 100%. And obviously expands upon it and stuff because obviously, you know, you're filling in gaps. I mean, you're saying like a 8-hour section or whatever it was is now a 40-hour game.
Yeah,
a game within itself. So it's a full game, so obviously there's bits and pieces added, and there's obviously cutscenes and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's done a really good job. The only gripe I have of it, I don't know if you saw my little exchange on Twitter earlier on, but
graphics.
There is some very, very questionable graphics stuff,
and a lot of people have been saying this as well. I watched the ACG review of it, and
it's just
the facial capture for some of the NPCs, it looks bizarre.
All the main characters look great.
Are beautiful. Yeah.
All the main characters look great. All the main sections and stuff look great. Enemies, stuff like that. Fantastic. It's just weird shit. It's like I was walking down an alleyway in the game earlier and like nothing was loaded in. And these walls just looked odd because they weren't like actually They were just blurs.
Your
like, it was
screen cap of the bottles on the
bottles
side
on
of the cabinet that were like literally hexagonal.
I was gonna say literally had edges, and then the other thing is as well is like the doors in your apartment just don't. They're either A, not loading, or there is B, no texture at all, and it's just a fucking blurry mess. And
I feel like there was probably a large amount of crunch to try and just get it out. To be honest,
I'd imagine so, but like at the same time, I was gonna say that's the only thing I could say that's probably a bit disappointing about it is because with a game that's been so like mega highly anticipated, you know what I mean? So ever since they first did that demo footage on PS3 like 15 years ago, like when they did that, like everybody was losing their fucking shit, and it's like we've waited all this time to finally get it, and then you've released it in a state where, not where it's broken. Broken's the wrong word, but you've like it just looks sloppy, do you know what I mean? It's like...
And this is why I'm not that worried that The Last of Us Part 2 has been delayed. Because genuinely...
Yeah, but that studio's like a next level of polish anyway, so...
Yeah, but also I genuinely think that game is unfinished at the moment. I think it is the case that they're using this as an opportunity, because I feel like with the amount of rumors of crunch that were going on at Naughty Dog ahead of everything, I feel like the game wasn't in a position where it would be able to go gold. So they've gone, cool, with everything else going on, we need more time.
Well,
and that's why they haven't given another release date yet.
Obviously now, I wouldn't be surprised with the delay. As long as the new consoles aren't delayed, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a PS5 launch title.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a PS5 launch title as well, but 100% I can guarantee the next gen consoles will be delayed.
Oh yeah, I can imagine they will be. I was going to say, but I'd imagine they'll side by side release it. Like it will come out on 5 and 4 at the same time, because obviously because it's been built for 4 anyway, so it will come out on 4. But
it's like the whole conversation around Breath of the Wild as well. So Breath of the Wild was obviously a launch title on the Switch, but it was also available on the Wii U as this is nice to get on you can get it on an old console, gen, but why wouldn't you want to buy it on a next generation console where you can get more from it? They'll probably do that, where they release the two alongside each other. It's a launch console, but they'll release it on PS4. But then also, why wouldn't you want to get a PS5 to play it in its optimal format?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, regardless, that would have been the case of like in 6 months' time when PS5 comes out, everybody would be like, okay, where's our PS5 version?
Otherwise, they just piss people off like they did with The Last of Us remaster.
Yeah, it was exactly the same state. Yeah, exactly the same state.
Yeah, where they released The Last of Us, and then like however many months later or a year later, they released the remaster for a next-gen console. Kind of pointless when you can just make it up to a next-gen
that's what they're
standard.
doing with Xbox, isn't it, as well, where they're saying your games will scale up. Like if you buy Cyberpunk on Xbox One...
Also will probably be delayed.
Probably will be. If you buy that on Xbox One... that copy is the same copy that will work on your Series X, which will then look better and play better and blah blah. So
I feel like remasters are great, but I feel like we've moved on from the age.
We're not in exactly. I think we're in a thing of where now that the game can just be patched to look better depending on what you're playing on.
And by all means, remake a game like Final Fantasy has completely remade a game. They always said
it's a remake. So
yeah. And Square Enix were always adamant that they wouldn't want to remaster it because it wouldn't give it the same kind of feel.
Oh, I mean, the combat, obviously, for one, is...
You look at everything through a nostalgia lens, right? So when you're looking at a game that you played when you were 10 years old, you look at it and you think, oh, this is amazing. And then you go back and you play it. And GoldenEye. I mean, also, like, the games that we used to do on like, Twitch streams and stuff, like the retro games that we played... What the fuck? We played Crash Bandicoot 2.
Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire. Abysmal. Just a blocky mess. It was like playing fucking Tetris. Like, it's not the same.
That was like my favourite game when I was a kid as well. I love that game.
Yeah. But if they remake it, it gives it that element of polish that it needs. And that's why they did Final Fantasy VII as a remake rather than doing it as a remaster, because it wouldn't be the same.
Speaking of remakes, that's something else I've been playing that we can talk about. Resident Evil 3. I'm out.
Exactly the same concept.
Exactly the same concept. A remake, not a remaster. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that is lovely. Apart from all the bugginess that I had, that was good.
I've heard that, and obviously Resident Evil 2 was so critically and like personally well acclaimed. You loved it. Yeah. I haven't played it still. I might buy it. It's 16 quid at the moment. And I've always been told that it is amazing, and everybody. My TV is there. Leave me alone.
Mine's there. I don't know why I needed to point that out, but I did.
On a podcast as well, where most people might not.
Oh yeah, shit. So it's to my right.
You dumbass.
Because you need to know.
But yeah, like I never played Resident Evil 2. I heard it was amazing, and so now I'm tempted to pick it up. But Resident Evil 3 apparently isn't as good.
Well, it's not that it's not as good, maybe. I mean, it's more action oriented. It's more less so the horror
different type of game.
Yeah, right? It's different type. It's quite short. I haven't actually finished it yet, but I just know from people who have, and just reading other bits and pieces online and stuff, that it is short. I mean, to be fair, the original game was quite short. The original game isn't that long. I actually sat and completed it with a friend of the podcast, Jordan, like the week before it launched. No, actually, no.
Also, probably won't listen to this, but hi, Jordan.
Probably won't listen to this. Hi, Jordan. We sat and did just a little run through a bit because he knew all the routes. So he was like, "Right, go this way, go that way." Blah, blah, blah. And we did it.
Jordan's one of those people. He worries me. He has some kind of weird eidetic memory.
He has completed Resident Evil 3, the remake. I don't know if he's beaten this time yet, but I know I think it was the day after it came out, he beat it in an hour and 15 minutes. And I was like, nice. You are disgusting.
He is disgusting. He is genuinely disgusting, especially when it comes to video games. We're talking Mortal Kombat as well. Like
hour and 15 minutes. I'm like 2 hours into that game and nowhere near done. So
he's like a prodigy when it comes to video games, though. Like you are the king of video games. He is the fucking god.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I just rule over the land.
I don't want to toot his horn too much. Fuck you, Jordan.
He'll love it. He'll love all the dick sucking that's going on right now.
He will.
He's some sort of prodigy. It's disgusting.
I will probably play Resident Evil 2. It's 16 quid. For a game that got so much praise, I'm like tempted to pick up. I don't like spooky games though, so that's my worry. Is that I don't like being scared. Yeah, Scooby-Doo is about as scary as I get.
You'll be right. Just play it with lights on. You'll be fine.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if that's how it works.
Just remember, it's not real.
Thanks.
I say this, I'm terrible with spooky games.
We have a video on a YouTube channel of us playing the demo for Resident Evil 7 where we both are petrified.
Yes.
And that game isn't scary, really.
7 is scary at the start.
At the beginning, exactly.
In the demo bit, it's scary.
Everybody was like, oh, you pussies. Nah.
You should see me play Outlast, sir. That's just screams. I'm terrified of that.
Yeah, horrifying. Absolutely horrifying.
Stink my bridges. Yeah. Got anything else?
No, to be honest with you, like I feel like everybody else is in the same boat. It's really hard to find stuff to do at the moment, and we should be grateful for all the stuff that we can do and the video games we do have. And I feel like the games coming out are doing a lot to help with,
for sure.
Just the fact that we have more time and the TV shows that are coming out and stuff. But we will reach a point and we will reach a crux where so many video games have had production halted, and so many TV shows and movies productions halted.
Yeah.
And so there will be a void. There will be a void of entertainment.
I mean, we should have been getting excited for Black Widow probably around now.
Yeah, I know, because it's coming out beginning of May.
Yeah.
Or was coming out at the beginning of May. That's been moved to September. All of these big budget films and stuff who usually get money from, China and all these other, like the Asian market and the American market, who are postponing 6 months or like longer try and make sure that they can protect themselves.
Obviously, we had The Quiet Place 2 booked. Yep. That got cancelled.
But I feel like, and I had a conversation earlier on today that I feel like the way that you get over that is you can only postpone your film coming out for so long, right? So what Trolls has done, Trolls World Tour, is that they've released digitally, but for the same price as a box office ticket. So they have released on digital platforms, but they said, you pay us $16, so that what you pay to go see it in the cinema.
Anyway, I don't know, surely.
I mean, brand new, yeah. But rather than putting on a streaming service, which is what Disney have done with Onward, and what they'll probably likely do with a couple of other movies moving forward as well. And said, okay, for the price of one cinema ticket, you can buy this film and your entire family can watch it. And I feel like that's kind of a good thing to do right now, because you know that not only have you got people who you want to be consuming your content, but you're still making sure you cover the cost of distribution because you're getting people buy your stuff.
How are they handling that? I'm intrigued now. So is that through an app or like where are they? No,
it's on demand. So video on demand. So they've literally released it. They've gone, this is a film that's coming out in the cinema.
So when I buy it, I own it. Yeah. It's just digital release. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of releasing it at the cinema, releasing it on a streaming service, they've gone, for this price, you can buy this film.
Who's buying Trolls World Tour?
Oh, you'd be surprised. Trolls is one of the most successful kids franchises out there. I have a lot of friends who've got small children who absolutely love those Trolls movies.
How are Trolls a thing still? Like, how have they survived everything?
But I blame Justin Timberlake, personally.
I'm missing it.
No, he's in those films, right? I'm not just saying that.
Oh, he's in the films?
Yeah,
he still does things?
Trolls. Yes. You know the really popular song he released not that long ago? That was from one of the Trolls movies.
He released a song?
Wow, you are so out of the loop when it comes to
when it comes to pop music, yeah, I'm clearly very out of the loop. So
yeah, I personally hold him fully accountable for a lot of stuff. Possibly
very hot.
coronavirus, although that might be a bit mean. What?
I'm very hot.
Very hot. It's quite warm outside, surprisingly. We should be grateful that the weather's done
The
us
weather
good,
is good.
done us
The weather
justice
outside
here.
is weather, sir.
It is, certainly is. But no, I feel like we should be grateful for the stuff that we have to consume, and the fact that companies like Disney are putting movies on their streaming services, and that Disney Plus is a thing, and that Netflix is a thing, and Amazon Prime. Because if they weren't, we'd be fucked, sir.
Well, I have a Blu-ray collection.
I mean, but to be honest, I don't. Like,
No, I don't.
when streaming services and stuff first started coming out, nobody really buys DVDs anymore. I have a few 4K DVDs, but I would literally be watching Into the Spider-Verse on repeat.
That's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing. No, absolutely. I mean,
we're
luckily we're living in the times of the internet, and we have stuff to keep us all same. We could do video chats like this, and we can make podcasts which about 4 people are going to listen to. But those 4 people might be entertained by us chatting shit.
Exactly, and the fact that we have now come back after 2 years, I think we maxed out at maybe like 178 subscribers on YouTube, and then our podcast just didn't. There was no consistency there. Let's be honest.
It's because we would record, have a month gap, and then do another one.
Because we're really shit at committing to stuff.
I totally blame
like
you. I blame you.
Feel like
entirely.
In the age that we are now, I feel like there is every opportunity for us to carry on and make the most of this.
Absolutely. And on that note, I guess that's a good time for us to wrap this shit up. We have been talking for a whole 51 minutes at this point. I have nothing left to say to you. If anything, I want to leave you now. I've had enough of your company.
Well, fuck you. So
I kid. I miss you and I love you dearly.
I miss you too. But hopefully we can come back next week and have.
We will come back. I'm going to watch Westworld this week, and you are going to play Resident Evil 2. And even though they're both old entertainment, who gives a shit? This is the day and age in which we need to go back and experience shit.
We're going to have to recirculate. Yeah, we'll have to recirculate all the old shit that we have in the collection.
That's it. Maybe I'll have completed Final Fantasy as well by then. Who knows?
Maybe you'll begin playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps as well. Who knows?
Maybe I'll play more Animal Crossing. Who knows what this week will bring?
Maybe you'll stop being a piece of shit.
On that note, I've been Az.
I've been Cole sometimes.
Sometimes, and this is episode 1 of the return of PopVulture, I guess. So
PopVulture 2.0. I would say PopVulture 2.0, but it's probably more like 7.0.
I'm not making any branding because we're just PopVulture. So so thanks for listening, guys. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube. There's probably links attached to Spotify or whatever the hell we're on right now. We'll be somewhere.
Bunch of old videos that are real bad on there too.
I'm going to try and get us on Spotify with this because it makes it easier for people to listen. We'll be on YouTube. You might be already watching on YouTube. If you are, click subscribe, click the notification bell. So if we do make more stuff, you'll get little notification and you'll be able to listen to us. Follow us on Twitter, which we haven't used in a long time, at PopVultureOff. And
God, I forgot that even exists.
It does exist. It needs to come back alive to advertise this episode. So yeah, follow us on there. I would say follow our Facebook, but Facebook stinks, so don't bother with that.
Correct.
And yeah, we'll see you next week, maybe.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.
Toodles.